with Dishonored, we really did a lot of verticality, using different tools. This is the kind of things that, and I think also like in the execution, if you look at this kind of games like immersive sims, they've always wanted to make cohesive environments that were believable in terms of it could be a place. If there's a door, you could go on the other side of it. Sorry, I'm having a phone noise.
I'm sure you're a busy man. Yeah.
And in this case, we keep doing that, but instead of doing it with a box and four walls, and we do it like with fantastic environments that take multiple artists and architects to get right. So we keep the spirit, but I think we really up the execution, and then it's my own stories, and that then I work, of course, with the writers and other people, because then the art director, and then we make an entire world together. But I think that's also part of the evolution. It's an opportunity to tell a different story. And my very first one was Arx Fatalis, which was, of course, super inspired by Underworld, because medieval fantasy, and you got to start somewhere. Even then, I did add a few things of ours, like the magic system, for example, which is not something that you would have seen in an Underworld. But you could see all the inspirations from Underworld, including the runes, the fact that you would find different runes, etc. So I was pretty dogmatic back then. I was very much, no, it's got to be like this because they did it like that. And then, of course, technology brings you opportunities. So it's all down to using those opportunities.
Yeah. I always had one curiosity. This may be asking something that can't be said, or sort of do something to keep, behind closed doors. But I know there was a little bit of because you were initially pitching Arx Fatalis as an Ultimate Underworld sequel, technically, right? Like within the canon. And I know there was a little bit of so the story goes, you and Paul Neurath had some terms about what needed to have in it if it were to be an official sequel. Was there anything that was kind of holding it back from being the game you wanted it to be, so it didn't end up being an official sequel, or is it something just totally disconnected to?
No, with Paul, we just had an agreement that he was going to consult whether or not it was going to be an Underworld.
Okay.
And he was going to help with the business. I didn't know back then his company was about to go down. And I think, naturally it would have been a good thing for Looking Glass if that worked, because I don't think it would have saved Looking Glass, but he was in the middle of his own problems, and then I contacted him from my total naivety. Hey, I wanna, you want to see my game? And he was nice enough to meet me at E3, and he liked it. He liked it enough that we had a deal. We worked together. He put me in contact with a lot of his people, like the audio people that he had, Stephen Russell, the voiceover of Garrett in Thief.
Epic name in gaming, that is. Yeah.
I still think it was cool that it went like kind of full circle when he was the voice of Corvo in Dishonored 2. That was really awesome.
Yeah, that was great. It was not my idea, but I wish it was. Dishonored 2 was entirely directed by Harvey.
Yeah.
At that time, I was directing Prey. We both directed Dishonored 1, and then we separated amicably.
Right.
Always the best way.
Yeah. What? Sorry.
I said it's always the best way, splitting up amicably. Especially in an industry that relies so much on networking as well.
Yeah. No, I literally went to France. Basically, I was in America. We designed Dishonored. We were both in America, in Austin, and then at the end of Dishonored, he went to France and worked from there. Meanwhile, I stayed in Austin and grew Austin to make Prey.
I guess kind of going back to the Arx Fatalis, How did it change when you knew that it wasn't going to be a Ultima game anymore? Did it change?
It's a funny story because we went to EA to pitch it with Paul, and then we had this guy. I'm not gonna name him, but he was cool. He's a cool guy. I think he's out of the industry right now. Maybe he's an agent or something. And he was very straightforward, and he told me, look, we're not interested in these games. These games like Thief, etc., like Underworld, etc. They sell. You did not say Thief. He said Underworld, etc. They sell maximum 100,000 units. Right, we're not into this. And he was pretty right about that, by the way. That's pretty much the sales we made later.
The curse of the
yeah, painfully right. And he said, but if you are willing to call this game like magic or something, like he really liked the magic system, and so they wanted to turn it into a game where it's a super narrow game where you would now like you'd be a wizard or something, right?
Like Dungeons and Dragons.
All right.
And it could have been, it might have been the good move, but frankly, I'm glad we did not pursue that because back then I was still very, very much into doing the game that I had in mind, and that was like a defining trait of mine. It's people who know me, they will know that. Like I really do. If I have something in mind, I'll just that's the thing I'm going to champion. And it's an important quality because it takes forever to sign deals and it takes forever to make gains. So when you have an idea, you better like your idea for a long time and not get bored with it. If you're this type of person that keeps on changing their mind, it's like, that was a cool idea 2 weeks ago, but now I don't like it so much. Whereas I was really, really set on doing that game, which was going to be first-person RPG in the vein of kind of Underworld kind of games, which I didn't even know they were called immersive sims back then. And so it did not change much when it was not meant to become Underworld or a game by EA. I was we'll do Arx then. That's cool. And in a way it's better. There's a moment in I guess in anyone's work path or career where you are still a fan, and I'm still a fan of all these people, and you're such a fan that you would rather do a sequel to that thing you're so fan of rather than doing a new IP. And then there's a moment where no matter what, doing a new thing is always better. Like there's no sequel I would like to do more than you could give me anything. I can't think of any. I love Dune. I love Game of Thrones. I love any kind of great IP you can imagine. I love Ultima still somehow, but like I would still rather do my own game than make a sequel of these games.
Yeah,
that's fair.
With Dark Messiah of Might and Magic, you can play as 3 different classes, but the kick is still the same, right?
It's just a sneak or a brutal kick or magic kick.
So did you design like the physics of the game around the sort of philosophy that they would be kind of certain moves would be similar?
Not really. We barely knew what we were doing still. I think we often, and still to this day, we don't really design our games by numbers and with like a perfect symmetry. There's some companies that are so good at that. You look at a game like Diablo, it's so well tuned, and some of it is because it's multiplayer, so everything needs to be incredibly, incredibly well balanced. We've never been these kind of designers. Of course, nothing wrong with tuning very well. I'm very admirative of what Blizzard can do, but like. In our case, we're like, kick sounds cool, it should be fun, and then we prototype it real quickly. And the lead animator is still the same to this day at my new company. His name is Etienne. He did a kick, this really brutal kick, and we're like, man, that feels fun,
straight off the ledge.
And you go deep on the kick. 2 months later, you don't. Before you know it, you get the kicking game.